Hello, and welcome to Most Relaxing Facts. Tonight, we're walking ancient trade routes, following camel caravans across desert sands, sailing with merchant ships on moonlit seas, watching wealth move silently through time, accumulating like snowfall, growing without effort, building empires in the stillness. For thousands of years, humanity has understood a profound secret: that wealth can work while you sleep, that a single seed planted becomes a forest, that trade routes, once established, flow like rivers, carrying prosperity generation after generation. The merchants of Babylon knew it. The silk traders of ancient China understood it. The quiet power of assets that grow on their own. Over the next few hours, I'll share with you relaxing, peaceful facts about the history of trade and wealth, how the first coins were minted, how spice routes shaped civilizations, how passive income built the great merchant families of Venice and the trading empires of the East. Let these timeless principles of prosperity carry you gently into the deepest, most restful sleep. If you find calm in these explorations of history and wealth, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Most Relaxing Facts. Your support helps us uncover more soothing wisdom from across the ages. But first, let's prepare for our journey through the quiet accumulation of fortune. Take a slow, deep breath in. Hold it softly, like treasure kept safe, and release it completely, letting go of all urgency, all worry. Feel yourself settling into patience, into the understanding that the greatest wealth grows slowly, steadily, while the world sleeps. There's no hurry here, no need to chase. Just listen, and let the ancient rhythms of trade and prosperity guide you toward rest. The caravan is departing. The ships are setting sail. The quiet fortune begins to grow now. Close your eyes and let me take you on a journey through time, through the quiet accumulation of wealth, through the gentle, patient growth of assets that work while you sleep. Tonight, here on Most Relaxing Facts, we're exploring something different. Not abandoned cities or artificial intelligence, but the golden seed, the ancient roots of prosperity, the timeless principles of wealth that have whispered through centuries, creating abundance through patience, through understanding, through the simple magic of letting time work in your favor. This isn't about hustle or stress or frantic pursuit of riches. This is about the calm, steady nature of true wealth, about salt given to Roman soldiers, about tulip bulbs worth more than homes, about clay jars buried in silent earth holding ancient savings, about rental properties in ancient Rome, about the first stock exchange where wealth grew while owners slept, about compound interest that Einstein called the eighth wonder of the world. Imagine wealth as stored time, as freedom crystallized, as the ability to choose how you spend your hours because your assets work quietly in the background. Imagine gold coins minted with lions symbolizing financial power. Imagine royalties ensuring families were provided for long after work was finished. Imagine dividend checks arriving like clockwork. Imagine the invisible hand of markets creating prosperity. Imagine the dignity of work combined with the necessity of rest. Tonight, we'll discover how wealth has always been about patience, about planting seeds and tending gardens, about understanding that small amounts become fortunes through time's gentle multiplication. We'll explore real estate, appreciating since Roman times, intellectual property generating income for generations, index funds participating in global growth, the ancient Silk Road connecting East and West in the world's first passive income network. So settle into comfort, like settling into the security of well-tended investments. Feel the peace that comes from understanding wealth's patient nature, and drift with me into the golden seed, into the history of abundance, into the quiet wisdom of letting your assets work while you rest. The word salary comes from the Latin word salarium, which originally referred to the salt given to Roman soldiers as payment. In ancient Rome, salt was extraordinarily valuable, not just seasoning, but essential preservative, the technology that made food storage possible, that enabled armies to march far from home, that allowed civilization to flourish by preventing spoilage and starvation. Salt was portable wealth, universally valued, easily divided, relatively stable in value, all qualities that made it excellent currency. Roman soldiers received their salarium, their salt allowance, as part of their compensation. This salt could be used directly, preserving meat and fish, or traded for other goods, functioning as money before coins dominated commerce. The connection between salt and salary persists in our language, a linguistic fossil preserving ancient economic reality. When we say someone is worth their salt, we're echoing Roman valuation, recognizing that compensation should match contribution, that payment represents worth, that value and payment should align. This reminds us that wealth has always been about providing value, about having something others need, about being compensated fairly for contribution. The Roman soldier's salt was earned through service, through protecting the empire, through contributing to collective security. The salary represented stored value, work performed, compensation received, future needs provided for. The principle remains unchanged through millennia. Provide value, receive compensation, store that compensation for future use. Whether salt or gold or paper money or digital currency, the fundamental transaction stays the same. Work transforms into wealth. Effort becomes assets. Time and skill crystallize into stored value that provides future security and freedom. In the 17th century Netherlands, tulip bulbs became objects of extraordinary speculation. During the height of tulip mania in 1636-1637, a single bulb of a rare variety could cost more than a luxury home in Amsterdam, more than a skilled craftsman earned in a decade, more than most people's lifetime savings. The tulips weren't particularly useful. They were beautiful, yes, but beauty doesn't feed families or shelter them from cold. Yet their value soared through speculation, through belief that prices would continue rising, through fear of missing opportunity, through social pressure and status signaling and pure irrational exuberance. The bubble burst, as bubbles always do. Prices collapsed almost overnight. People who had mortgaged homes to buy tulip bulbs lost everything. The speculation that seemed like path to wealth became path to ruin. The beautiful flowers remained beautiful, but their inflated prices proved to be illusion, fantasy, collective delusion that evaporated when belief faltered. Tulip mania teaches important lessons about wealth. True value differs from price. Sustainable wealth builds on fundamentals, productive assets, genuine utility, real value creation, not on speculation and greater fool theory. Bubbles are seductive. Promises of easy wealth are tempting, but lasting prosperity comes from patience, from productive investment, from assets that generate real value rather than depending on finding someone willing to pay even more inflated prices. The calm approach to wealth recognizes bubbles, avoids speculation, focuses on fundamentals, builds slowly on solid foundations. This isn't exciting. It won't make you rich overnight, won't create dramatic stories of instant fortune. But it won't destroy you either. Won't leave you ruined when bubbles burst. Will build genuine prosperity through patient accumulation rather than gambling on continued price inflation. The oldest known savings account belonged to a Greek merchant over 2,500 years ago. A simple clay jar buried in silent earth, containing coins and valuables, hidden for safekeeping, preserved against theft and disaster, representing stored wealth waiting patiently in darkness for future need. This ancient savings account embodies timeless principle. Consume less than you earn. Store the difference, preserve it safely, draw on it when needed. The merchant who buried that jar understood wealth's basics, that security comes from reserves, that future is uncertain and savings provide buffer, that stored wealth enables weathering storms and seizing opportunities. The clay jar wasn't a sophisticated financial instrument, didn't earn interest or generate returns, but it served its purpose, preserving wealth, keeping it safe, ensuring it remained available when needed. Sometimes the simplest approach works. Spend less than you earn, save the difference, protect your savings, repeat consistently over time. Modern savings accounts offer improvements, interest earnings, insurance protection, convenient access, professional management. But the fundamental principle remains unchanged from that ancient Greek merchant. Defer gratification, store value, build reserves, create financial buffer between yourself and uncertainty. This is peaceful approach to wealth, not aggressive, not speculative, not seeking maximum returns or taking substantial risks. Just patient accumulation, steady savings, reliable reserves growing slowly but surely, creating security through discipline and time, building foundation that supports everything else, ensuring that unexpected expenses or opportunities don't become crises because resources exist to handle them. Passive income isn't modern invention. The ancient Romans had rental properties in the form of massive apartment blocks called insulae. These multi-story buildings housed Rome's urban population, with wealthier citizens owning the buildings and collecting rent from tenants, creating income streams that flowed regularly without requiring constant, active work from owners. The insulae were often poorly constructed, cramped, dangerous. Fire and collapse were common risks, but they served essential function, housing cities' population while generating income for owners. The principle was simple: own property people need, charge rent for its use, collect regular payments, let the property work for you rather than you working for it constantly. This Roman passive income demonstrates timeless wealth principle, assets that generate recurring revenue, that produce income without requiring proportional time investment, that work while you sleep or focus attention elsewhere, create freedom and security that active income alone cannot provide. Active income requires continuous effort. Stop working, stop earning. Passive income continues whether you work or not, whether you're healthy or ill, whether you're young or old. It creates resilience, provides options, enables choices that pure active income doesn't allow. The modern equivalent extends far beyond real estate. Dividend stocks, royalties, licensing fees, automated businesses, interest income, numerous mechanisms for creating revenue streams that flow without constant active management. But the principle remains Roman. Own assets people use and pay for. Structure arrangements so payments continue regularly. Build income streams that sustain themselves. Create wealth that works for you, rather than requiring constant effort from you. The first stock exchange was established in Amsterdam in 1602 by the Dutch East India Company, creating revolutionary mechanism for wealth to grow while owners slept. Previously, business ownership required active involvement. You owned shop or workshop or farm, you worked in it. Your wealth depended on your direct effort. The stock exchange changed this. You could own piece of company, share of its profits, claim on its assets, without working in it, without managing it, without even visiting it. Professional managers ran the company while you simply owned shares, receiving dividends, benefiting from company's success, participating in commercial ventures you couldn't personally operate or even understand in detail. This democratized wealth creation. Previously, major commercial ventures required enormous capital and personal involvement. Now, middle-class investors could participate through stock ownership, pooling resources with others, diversifying across multiple ventures, reducing individual risk while maintaining upside potential. The principle of passive ownership transformed capitalism, enabled modern economy, created mechanisms for capital formation and risk distribution that powered industrial revolution and everything following. The stock exchange became engine for wealth creation that continues operating today, enabling millions to participate in economic growth, to build wealth through ownership rather than just labor, to let their money work while they sleep. This remains powerful. Wealth-building tool. Stock ownership, particularly diversified ownership through funds, allows participation in global economic growth, provides returns that compound over time, builds wealth gradually but reliably for those patient enough to invest consistently and avoid panic during downturns. The magic of compound interest was famously called the eighth wonder of the world, often attributed to Albert Einstein because of its ability to transform small amounts into fortunes over time through exponential growth that accelerates as accumulated returns generate their own returns, creating snowball effect where wealth builds on wealth, where patience and time work together to multiply value. The mathematics are straightforward, but the results are remarkable. Money invested at reasonable return rate doubles in predictable timeframes. The rule of 72 provides quick estimate. Divide 72 by annual return percentage to find approximate doubling time. At 7% annual return, money doubles, roughly every 10 years. $1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, the progression accelerating with each cycle. The key is time and consistency. Small amounts invested young grow to substantial sums through decades of compounding. The person who invests early with modest amounts often accumulates more than someone who starts later with larger amounts because time is the crucial multiplier, the essential ingredient that transforms modest savings into genuine wealth. Compound interest rewards patience and punishes procrastination. Starting early, investing consistently, leaving investments alone to grow without constant interference or panic selling, These behaviors harness compound interest's power. Waiting to start, investing sporadically, selling during downturns and buying during peaks. These squander the magic, reduce returns, turn powerful force into weak one. This is perhaps the most relaxing fact about wealth building. You don't need to be brilliant or lucky or connected. You need to be patient and consistent, to start early and invest regularly, to let time work its magic without interference. The mathematics are on your side. The exponential growth is predictable. The outcome is reliable for those who simply wait and allow compounding to work. The stress-free approach to wealth recognizes compound interest's power, structures finances to exploit it, then simply waits. No constant monitoring, no timing markets, no stress about daily fluctuations, just patient accumulation, regular contributions, time passing, wealth building invisibly but inexorably through the quiet magic of returns, generating returns, generating returns. In the ancient kingdom of Lydia, around 600 BCE, the first gold coins were minted, bearing the image of a lion, symbol of power, strength, authority. These coins represented revolutionary innovation, standardized value, guaranteed quality, portable wealth, universal acceptance. Before, coins, trade required barter or weighing precious metals, processes that were cumbersome, uncertain, dispute-prone. The Lydian lion coins changed everything. Each coin represented specific, guaranteed amount of gold. The lion stamped on them was the kingdom's promise of value, the government's certification that the coin was what it claimed to be. This created trust, enabled commerce, facilitated trade in ways that barter or unstandardized metal never could. The symbolism was apt. The lion's roar announced financial power. The predator's image suggested strength and dominance. The king's choice of symbol asserted authority over economic realm. Money gives power to its holder, enables choices and actions that poverty prevents, roars like a lion in human affairs, commanding attention and respect. This first coinage established principles still operative today. Governments guarantee currency value. Standardization enables commerce. Portable wealth facilitates trade. Trust in monetary or system underpins economic activity. Whether gold coins or paper bills or digital entries in bank computers, money still performs functions those Lydian lions performed, storing value, facilitating exchange, creating economic power. The lesson for wealth building is recognizing money's fundamental nature, not just pieces of metal or paper, but social technology, shared agreement about value, trust made tangible. Understanding this helps you use money wisely, recognize its power and its limitations, build wealth by working within systems that have operated since Lydian kings first stamped lions on gold and changed commerce forever. The Richest Man in Babylon, a classic book on wealth written by George Clason, teaches through parables set in ancient Babylon that a portion of everything you earn is yours to keep, typically suggested as at least 10%, and this portion should be put to work for you, invested in income-generating assets, creating wealth that grows independent of your ongoing labor. The book's protagonist, Akkad, becomes Babylon's richest man, not through inheritance or luck, but through discipline, consistently saving portion of earnings, investing wisely, letting compound growth work, avoiding schemes promising quick riches, staying patient through years of steady accumulation. His wealth builds slowly, unremarkably at first, but accelerates over time through compounding until it's substantial, until passive income exceeds living expenses, until he achieves financial independence. The principles are simple, almost boring. Spend less than you earn, save the difference, invest in productive assets, avoid speculation, be patient, repeat consistently. Nothing exciting, nothing clever, nothing requiring special knowledge or connections. Just discipline, patience, consistency applied over sufficient time. This simplicity is precisely the point. Wealth building for most people isn't complex, doesn't require genius or luck, doesn't demand special access or insider knowledge. It requires only discipline to spend less than earned, wisdom to invest savings productively, patience to let time work its magic, consistency to maintain these practices through decades. The relaxing insight is that wealth doesn't require stress or brilliance or constant vigilance. It requires boring consistency, patient accumulation, letting simple principles work over time. The richest man in Babylon succeeded not through extraordinary measures, but through ordinary discipline applied extraordinarily consistently. Anyone can do this. Most don't, because they lack patience or discipline or belief. But the path is open, accessible, proven through centuries. Real estate has been primary wealth driver for centuries, with land and property appreciating steadily over long time frames, providing both appreciation and income through rents, serving as foundation for countless fortunes built through patient accumulation of property assets. The land beneath London has been appreciating since Roman era, through 2 millennia of human civilization, through countless economic cycles and political upheavals, through wars and plagues and revolutions. Yet the land persists, generally increasing in value over long time frames, providing wealth to those patient enough to hold it through temporary downturns, wise enough to recognize real estate's fundamental value. Real estate combines multiple wealth-building advantages. It provides utility. People need places to live and work, creating consistent demand. It's limited. They're not making more land, at least not in most locations, creating scarcity that supports value. It generates income through rents, providing cash flow while asset appreciates. It offers leverage. Mortgages allow controlling valuable asset while paying only portion of purchase price, multiplying returns if property appreciates. The appreciation is often slow, undramatic, few percent annually, easily ignored year to year, but substantial over decades. Property bought and held for 20 or 30 years typically increases significantly in value, often becoming worth many multiples of original purchase price, building substantial wealth through patient ownership. This isn't get-rich-quick scheme. Real estate requires capital, involves costs and risks, demands attention and management. But for those with resources to invest, patience to hold through cycles, wisdom to choose properties in areas with fundamental demand, real estate provides reliable wealth-building mechanism proven through centuries of human history. The peaceful approach to real estate investing recognizes this long-term nature, doesn't chase hot markets or flip properties frantically, simply acquires quality properties in solid locations, holds them patiently, collects rents, maintains properties adequately, allows time to work its magic through appreciation and mortgage paydown, building wealth gradually but reliably through one of humanity's oldest wealth-building strategies. The concept of royalties began gaining formal structure in the 18th century, particularly for authors and composers, ensuring creators received ongoing payments whenever their works were sold or performed, providing income streams that continued long after initial creative work was completed, often supporting creators' families for decades or even generations after the creator's death. Before royalty systems, creators typically sold their works outright, receiving single payment, forfeiting all future value. A composer might sell a symphony, an author might sell a manuscript, receiving immediate payment but nothing more, regardless of how popular or profitable the work became. This system disadvantaged creators, enriched publishers and producers, failed to align incentives properly. Royalties changed this by creating ongoing relationship between creative work and compensation. Each copy sold, each performance staged, each use licensed, generates payment to creator or creator's heirs. Popular works generate substantial royalties over decades, supporting creators and families long after initial creation, providing passive income from past creative effort. This principle extends far beyond books and music. Patents generate royalties for inventors, trademarks generate licensing fees for brand owners, franchises generate ongoing payments from franchisees. Any intellectual property that can be licensed potentially generates recurring revenue streams. The wealth-building lesson is powerful. Create once, earn repeatedly. Work that can be replicated, licensed, or otherwise monetized repeatedly provides leverage that hourly labor cannot match. The hourly worker must show up each hour to earn each payment. The royalty recipient did the work once, decades ago perhaps, and still receives payments whenever someone uses that work. Modern technology amplifies this principle dramatically. Digital products, software, videos, courses, music, books can be created once and sold infinitely with essentially zero marginal cost. The leverage is extraordinary, the passive income potential is substantial, the freedom is remarkable for those who successfully create valued intellectual property. This doesn't mean everyone should become artist or inventor, but understanding royalty principle, that creating value once can generate income repeatedly, helps recognize opportunities, structure work to maximize leverage, build wealth through creating assets that continue generating value and income long after initial creative effort ends. Dividend-paying stocks allow investors to receive regular payments from companies they own shares in, typically quarterly distributions representing portion of company profits, providing income stream that continues regardless of stock price fluctuations, creating passive income from corporate ownership. The mechanism is straightforward. You own shares, company earns profits, board decides to distribute portion of profits to shareholders. You receive your proportional share based on how many shares you own. The payment arrives reliably, typically every quarter like clockwork, requiring nothing from you except continuing to own the shares. This creates beautiful wealth-building dynamic. The dividends can be spent for current income, supporting lifestyle without selling shares, enabling retirement or financial independence when dividend income covers expenses. Or dividends can be reinvested, purchasing more shares, which generate more dividends, which purchase more shares, creating compounding effect that accelerates wealth accumulation over time. Companies that consistently pay and increase dividends, dividend aristocrats, Companies that have raised dividends for 25+ consecutive years demonstrate financial health, management quality, shareholder-friendly culture. The rising dividends provide inflation protection. The reliable payments provide income security. The share price appreciation provides long-term growth. Dividend investing is peaceful, low-stress wealth-building approach. No need to time markets or predict prices. No anxiety about selling at the right moment. No stress about when to take profits. Just buy quality dividend-paying companies, collect the payments, reinvest them if you don't need current income. Hold patiently through market cycles. Watch wealth build through steady dividend growth and compounding. The quarterly dividend payment arriving in your account, whether $50 or $500 or $5,000, depending on how much you've invested, provides tangible evidence that your wealth is working for you, that passive income is real, that patient investing creates results, that you're building financial freedom through ownership of productive assets. The most expensive book ever sold was Leonardo da Vinci's Codex Leicester, purchased by Bill Gates in 1994 for over $30 million, a collection of Leonardo's scientific writings and observations, a preservation of Renaissance genius, intellectual wealth from 5 centuries ago, still valued highly today. This purchase demonstrates that intellectual wealth, knowledge, creativity, innovation, artistic achievement maintains value across centuries, that great ideas and beautiful creations never become obsolete, that what one mind creates can enrich others indefinitely, making intellectual property potentially eternal wealth-generating asset. The Codex contains Leonardo's observations on water, on light, on astronomy, on geology, scientific insights from the late 1400s and early 1500s, some correct, some incorrect by modern understanding, but all demonstrating genius at work, mind exploring nature's secrets, Renaissance man thinking deeply about physical world. Gates presumably bought it not just as investment, but as inspiration, as connection to great mind, as reminder of human intellectual achievement. Yet it's also wealth preservation. The Codex will likely continue appreciating its rarity and historical significance, ensuring continued high value, making it both personally meaningful purchase and sound financial investment. This illustrates wealth principle. Invest in what maintains value across time, in assets that scarcity and significance protect against depreciation, in items that connect to fundamental human values, beauty, knowledge, creativity, historical significance that transcend temporary trends and market cycles. For most people, buying $30 million manuscripts isn't option, but the principle scales. Invest in quality that endures, in assets with lasting value, in things that time doesn't erode but potentially enhances. Whether real estate in desirable locations, shares in excellent companies, precious metals with eternal value, or knowledge and skills that remain useful regardless of economic conditions, all represent enduring wealth that time strengthens rather than diminishes. In the 1920s, Charles Ponzi created infamous get-rich-quick scheme, promising extraordinary returns through supposed international postal reply coupon arbitrage. Investors poured money in. Early investors received promised returns, funded by new investors' money. Word spread. More people invested. The scheme grew until inevitably it collapsed, leaving most investors with total losses, while Ponzi briefly lived lavishly. The Ponzi scheme left important lesson. legitimate wealth building is slow. Sustainable returns require real value creation. Anything promising quick, easy riches is probably fraud or extremely risky speculation. Patient accumulation through legitimate investments builds lasting wealth, while schemes create only temporary illusion before inevitable collapse. This lesson remains relevant because Ponzi schemes and similar frauds continue appearing in new forms. Cryptocurrency scams, multi-level marketing schemes, investment frauds, always promising extraordinary returns with little risk, always requiring recruiting new investors, always eventually collapsing when new money stops flowing in. The warning signs are consistent. Returns that seem too good to be true probably are. Investments that aren't clearly explained should be avoided. Anything requiring aggressive recruiting of new investors is likely pyramid scheme. Any promise of wealth without corresponding risk or value creation deserves extreme skepticism. Legitimate wealth building is boring by comparison. Consistent returns measured in single-digit or low double-digit percentage points annually. Returns that come from genuine value creation by businesses or real estate appreciation from economic growth. Returns that are sustainable precisely because they're moderate and based on fundamentals rather than exponential mathematics of recruiting new investors. The relaxing approach to wealth recognizes this, accepts moderate returns, avoids chasing extraordinary promises, stays patient with legitimate investments that grow steadily rather than explosively, builds wealth through time and compounding rather than seeking shortcuts that almost always lead to loss rather than gain. The memory of Ponzi and countless similar frauds serves as protective reminder. Slow and steady wins the race. Legitimate returns are moderate and sustainable. Anything promising otherwise is probably separating you from your money rather than building your wealth. Patience with legitimate investments succeeds where impatience with schemes fails. Gold is one of the only forms of wealth that has never lost its fundamental value in over 5,000 years of human history. From ancient civilizations through modern times, through countless empires rising and falling, through every economic system humanity has tried, gold has remained precious, valuable, desired, serving as store of wealth and medium of exchange across millennia. This extraordinary persistence reflects gold's unique properties. It doesn't corrode or tarnish, maintaining its beauty indefinitely. It's rare enough to be precious, but not so rare as to be impractical. It's easily divisible and portable. It's universally recognized and accepted. It has intrinsic beauty that humans consistently value across all cultures and eras. Every paper currency ever created has eventually become worthless. Through inflation, through government collapse, through hyperinflation that eroded value to nothing. Every empire has fallen. Every civilization has ended or transformed beyond recognition. But gold persists, maintaining value, still precious, still desired, still wealth in its most elemental form. This doesn't mean gold is perfect investment. It generates no income. Its price fluctuates substantially. It can be stolen. It's expensive to store securely. But as wealth preservation tool, as insurance against catastrophic currency collapse or severe economic disruption, as store of value that transcends any particular monetary or political system, gold has proven itself through 5 millennia of human history. The peaceful wealth strategy might include modest gold allocation, perhaps 5% to 10% of portfolio, not seeking profit from gold trading but simply holding insurance against unlikely but catastrophic scenarios, holding wealth in form that has survived every previous catastrophe, that will likely survive future catastrophes, that provides psychological comfort even if never needed practically. The relaxing aspect is knowing that some portion of wealth exists in form that has endured through all of human history, that will likely endure through whatever future brings, that connects you to 5,000 years of human valuation, that represents wealth in its most fundamental, time-tested, universal form. The first ATM was installed in London in 1967, revolutionizing banking by allowing wealth to be accessed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, regardless of whether banks were open, putting control in customers' hands, enabling access to funds whenever needed, rather than only during limited banking hours. This represented fundamental shift in relationship between people and their wealth. Previously, accessing bank deposits required visiting during business hours, often waiting in lines, depending on bank employees' availability and schedule. The ATM made wealth truly accessible, truly yours in practical sense, available whenever you needed it, rather than whenever the bank chose to be open. The innovation continues evolving, from basic cash dispensing to check deposits, to bill paying, to international access, to mobile apps that provide even greater control and accessibility. The trajectory is clear: increasing access, increasing control, decreasing friction between you and your wealth, making financial resources genuinely available rather than nominally yours, but practically controlled by institutions and their schedules. This accessibility matters for wealth building because it provides flexibility, enables rapid response to opportunities or emergencies, reduces anxiety about accessing funds when needed. The psychological comfort of knowing your wealth is truly accessible, truly yours to use when needed, rather than locked away, subject to others' schedules, reduces stress and increases sense of financial security. Modern wealth management continues this trend toward accessibility and control. Online banking, mobile payments, instant transfers, real-time investment trading, comprehensive financial visibility through apps and websites, all putting you in control of your wealth, enabling active management or passive monitoring according to your preferences, making financial life less dependent on intermediaries and their schedules. The peaceful wealth approach appreciates this accessibility while not being driven by it, maintains access to funds for emergencies and opportunities while not constantly monitoring or adjusting, uses technological tools to maintain awareness and control while avoiding obsessive checking and adjustment that can damage long-term results through overtrading and emotional decision-making. Intellectual property, patents, copyrights, trademarks, represents form of digital real estate that can generate income for decades or even up to 70 years after creator's death for copyrights, providing lasting passive income from single creative act or invention, protecting and monetizing ideas in ways that extend value far beyond initial creation. A patent on useful invention generates licensing fees whenever companies use the patented technology, providing steady income stream for patents term, typically 20 years from filing date. A copyright on popular book, song or movie generates royalties for authors' lifetime plus 70 years, potentially supporting multiple generations of heirs. A trademark on recognized brand generates licensing value indefinitely as long as it's maintained and defended. This represents extraordinary leverage. Create once, earn potentially for lifetime or longer. Build wealth that continues producing value decades after the creative or inventive work is complete. The writer who produces one successful novel might earn royalties for the rest of their life and their children's lives. The inventor who patents valuable technology might receive licensing fees supporting comfortable retirement from single invention. Not everyone can produce patentable inventions or copyrightable bestsellers. But understanding intellectual property's leverage helps recognize opportunities, value creative and innovative work appropriately, structure activities to maximize potential for creating lasting, valuable intellectual property. The modern digital age amplifies this dramatically. Software, online courses, digital products, content creation, all can generate ongoing income from a single creative effort, scaled infinitely at near zero marginal cost, reaching global audience in ways that physical products never could. Building wealth through intellectual property requires creative or innovative skill, market understanding, often significant upfront effort with uncertain payoff. But for those who succeed in creating valuable intellectual property, the rewards can be substantial, lasting, creating passive income streams that continue decades after the original work is completed, providing financial security and freedom that hourly labor cannot match. The Wealth of Nations, written by Adam Smith in 1756, laid the foundation for modern capitalism, explaining how markets coordinate economic activity through the invisible hand. The metaphor, describing how individual self-interest pursued in free markets leads to socially beneficial outcomes without central planning or coordination. Smith's insight was revolutionary. You don't need government controlling economy. Don't need central planner allocating resources. Don't need authority deciding what gets produced and consumed. Instead, let individuals pursue their self-interest. Let markets coordinate through prices. Let competition drive efficiency. And the result will be prosperity, innovation, efficient resource allocation, rising living standards. The baker doesn't make bread from benevolence, but to earn living. Yet in pursuing self-interest, baker provides valuable service, feeding community. The self-interested action produces socially beneficial result. Multiply this across entire economy. Millions of individuals pursuing self-interest through voluntary exchange, and the invisible hand coordinates it all without anyone planning or directing the whole system. This principle enables modern prosperity, explains how complex economies coordinate without central control, provides theoretical foundation for market economics and capitalism. The system isn't perfect. It produces inequality. Can Zirin generate negative externalities, sometimes fails to provide public goods, but it's proven remarkably effective at creating prosperity, raising living standards, coordinating economic activity. For wealth building, understanding invisible hand means recognizing that pursuing your financial interest through providing value to others is not just acceptable, but socially beneficial. That building wealth through voluntary exchange and value creation contributes to general prosperity, that self-interest and social benefit can align when markets function properly. The peaceful approach to wealth embraces this, pursues prosperity without guilt, recognizes that building personal wealth through legitimate value creation benefits others too. Your employer benefits from your work. Your customers benefit from your products or services. Your investment returns come from businesses creating value for their customers. Your wealth building participates in positive sum economy where everyone can prosper together. Index funds are designed to be boring and slow, simply matching market performance rather than trying to beat it, holding diversified portfolios that track broad market indices, keeping costs minimal, requiring almost no active management, providing reliable way for average person to participate in global economic growth without requiring expertise or constant attention. The case for index funds is compelling. They outperform most actively managed funds over long periods. Their low costs compound into substantial advantage over decades. They provide instant diversification, reducing individual company risk. They require minimal effort and knowledge. They eliminate need to pick winning stocks or time markets. The psychological benefit matches the financial benefit. Index fund investing is peaceful, stress-free, requires no expertise or constant monitoring, provides reasonable confidence of market-matching returns, eliminates anxiety about whether you're doing it right, frees mental energy and time for other priorities while your wealth builds gradually in background. You don't need to watch financial news, don't need to worry about picking winners, don't need to time market entry and exit, don't need to evaluate companies or understand financial statements. Just invest regularly in broad index fund, preferably automatically through payroll deduction or automatic transfer. Let the investments accumulate. Let compound growth work its magic over decades. Check occasionally, but mostly just let it run. This boring approach has proven extraordinarily effective. Studies consistently show that index fund investors outperform most active investors over long periods, that attempts to beat market usually fail after costs. That simple, buy and hold index investing provides superior results for most people compared to more sophisticated active strategies. The lesson is profound. In wealth building, boring is often better. Simple typically beats complex. Patient usually defeats clever. The stress-free path to wealth is often most effective path. The approach requiring least effort and expertise often produces best results. The boring, slow, patient accumulation through index funds often creates more wealth than exciting active trading and stock picking. John D. Rockefeller, the world's first billionaire, believed in what he called the dignity of work, but also the necessity of rest, recognizing that both labor and restoration matter, that wealth enables choosing balance between work and rest, rather than being forced into constant labor by financial necessity. Rockefeller's wealth came from building Standard Oil into dominant company, from business acumen and competitive ruthlessness, from creating enormous value and enormous monopoly power in petroleum industry. But he also recognized that wealth's purpose included enabling rest, enabling choice, enabling life beyond constant work. This balance between work and rest represents mature understanding of wealth. Work provides purpose, achievement, contribution, identity, social connection, often considerable satisfaction. But work alone, especially work driven by pure financial necessity without choice or balance, diminishes life, prevents other valuable pursuits, limits human flourishing. Wealth ideally enables choosing how to balance work and rest, how to allocate time between labor and leisure, how to structure life according to personal values rather than pure financial necessity. This doesn't mean abandoning work. Many wealthy people continue working productively long after financial necessity ends, because work provides meaning and satisfaction beyond monetary compensation. But the choice matters enormously. Working because you want to differs profoundly from working because you must. Rest chosen freely tastes different from rest stolen guiltily from overwhelming demands. The balance achieved through financial security differs from balance achieved despite financial insecurity. The peaceful wealth goal is creating this choice, building assets sufficient to make work optional or at least flexible, achieving financial independence not to abandon work, but to choose how and how much to work, to balance labor and rest according to personal values rather than pure financial necessity. REITs, real estate investment trusts, allow you to own a piece of shopping mall or office building or apartment complex without ever having to manage property yourself, without dealing with tenants or maintenance or financing, simply owning shares that represent fractional ownership of professionally managed real estate portfolio, receiving proportional share of rental income through regular dividend payments. This democratizes real estate investing, making it accessible to people without capital to buy entire properties, without expertise to manage them, without desire to deal with practical aspects of property ownership. You gain real estate exposure, receive rental income, benefit from potential appreciation, achieve diversification across properties and locations, all through simple stock ownership. The REIT structure requires distributing most income to shareholders, creating high dividend yields, providing income-focused investors with attractive cash flow. The professional management handles all practical aspects. The diversification reduces individual property risk. The liquidity allows buying and selling shares easily, unlike actual real estate. The accessibility enables participating in real estate markets with modest capital. This represents elegant financial innovation, taking asset class that traditionally required substantial capital and expertise, packaging it into accessible, liquid, professionally managed form, enabling small investors to participate in commercial real estate ownership, providing income and appreciation potential of real estate without its practical burdens. The peaceful wealth strategy might include REIT allocation, perhaps 10–20% of portfolio, providing real estate exposure for diversification and income, accessing professional management and property diversification, gaining real estate benefits without becoming landlord, participating in commercial real estate ownership that individual investment wouldn't enable. The quarterly dividend check from REITs, your share of rents collected from office tenants, retail customers, apartment residents, industrial warehouse users, provides tangible passive income, demonstrates that you're genuinely building income-generating wealth, makes the concept of money working for you concrete and real. The ancient Silk Road was the world's first global passive income network, where merchants earned wealth by connecting the vast silent distances between East and West, facilitating trade in silk, spices, precious metals, gems, art, ideas, bridging civilizations separated by thousands of miles of mountain and desert, creating value through connection rather than production. The Silk Road wasn't single route, but network of trading paths connecting China, Central Asia, Middle East, Mediterranean, enabling goods and ideas to flow between distant regions, each merchant handling one segment, buying from previous merchant and selling to next, adding value through transportation and local knowledge rather than creating physical products. This represents pure trade value, creating wealth by connecting supply and demand, by moving goods from where they're abundant to where they're scarce, by facilitating exchange between parties who couldn't transact directly, earning profit from connection and logistics rather than manufacture or agriculture. The modern equivalent is everywhere. E-commerce platforms connecting sellers and buyers, payment processors facilitating transactions, logistics companies moving goods, information brokers connecting parties, all creating value through connection and facilitation, earning profit from enabling exchange rather than producing physical goods. Understanding this principle helps recognize wealth opportunities. Value exists not only in production, but also in connection, in reducing friction, in making exchange easier and more efficient, in connecting people who want to transact but face barriers of distance or information or trust. The passive income aspect comes from building systems that facilitate connection at scale, create marketplace, bring together buyers and sellers, provide platform for exchange, collect small fee on each transaction, scale to handle thousands or millions of transactions, earn substantial income from facilitating exchange rather than from direct labor producing goods. Modern technology amplifies this dramatically. Digital platforms scale infinitely at near zero marginal cost, connecting billions of people, facilitating trillions of dollars in transactions, creating extraordinary wealth for those who build the platforms and connections, all based on ancient Silk Road principle of earning through connection rather than production. Cryptocurrency, while modern and fast-moving, is based on the ancient principle of a ledger, a permanent, unchangeable record of who owns what, tracking all transactions, providing transparency and verification, ensuring that ownership claims can be validated and disputes resolved through shared record everyone agrees on. This ledger principle is ancient. Merchants have kept books recording transactions for millennia. Banks maintain records of deposits and withdrawals, property registries, track land ownership, all serving same function as cryptocurrency blockchain, providing trusted record of ownership and transactions that prevents disputes and enables value exchange. Cryptocurrency's innovation isn't the ledger concept, but the implementation. Decentralized, distributed across thousands of computers, maintained by cryptographic consensus rather than trusted central authority. Transparent yet pseudonymous, permanent and immutable, enabling value transfer without requiring trust in banks or governments. This appeals to certain values and concerns: distrust of central authorities, desire for privacy and financial autonomy, belief in decentralization, enthusiasm for technological innovation. But it also involves substantial risks and uncertainties, extreme volatility, regulatory uncertainty, technological complexity, security challenges, environmental concerns from energy-intensive mining. The peaceful wealth approach is cautious with cryptocurrency, Perhaps small allocation, maybe 1.5% of portfolio, if you understand and accept the risks, if you can stomach the volatility, if you believe in technology's long-term potential despite current uncertainties and challenges. But the core portfolio, the foundation of wealth building, should remain in proven assets. Stocks representing ownership in profitable companies, bonds providing predictable income, real estate providing utility and appreciation, perhaps gold providing insurance. The boring, proven, stable assets that have built wealth reliably for generations deserve the bulk of investment, with speculative assets like cryptocurrency occupying only small, risk-appropriate portion if included at all. The largest hidden fortune in history is said to be in the Vatican's secret archives, now officially called the Vatican Apostolic Archive, which hold over 50 miles of shelving containing a wealth of knowledge, historical documents, religious texts, artifacts, letters, and records spanning over 1,000 years of human history, representing knowledge and historical wealth beyond any simple dollar valuation. These archives aren't secret in the sense of being hidden, but access is restricted to qualified scholars who must submit formal applications. The contents include papal correspondence, historical records of Catholic Church, documentation of religious and political events, literary works, scientific, manuscripts, letters from historical figures, records of trials and investigations, accumulated knowledge representing humanity's intellectual and spiritual heritage. The wealth here isn't financial, but cultural and historical. Irreplaceable primary sources, unique documents providing insight into medieval and Renaissance history, records of events and decisions that shaped Western civilization, preserved knowledge that would be lost without these archives. This represents different conception of wealth, not just monetary value, but knowledge, history, culture, heritage, things that can't be bought or sold, but represent enormous value to humanity, that enrich understanding, that connect present to past, that preserve human intellectual and spiritual achievement. The lesson for personal wealth is remembering that financial assets aren't only form of wealth. Knowledge and skills, relationships and social connections, health and well-being, experiences and memories, cultural engagement and spiritual development all represent forms of wealth that contribute to rich, fulfilling life alongside financial prosperity. The balanced approach to wealth recognizes this, pursues financial security without neglecting other forms of wealth, builds monetary assets while also accumulating knowledge, nurturing relationships, maintaining health, creating meaningful experiences. The wealthiest life includes but transcends financial wealth, encompassing all the forms of value that make human existence rich and meaningful. Wealth manifestation has become a popular modern trend, teaching that focused thought and positive visualization can attract wealth, but it's based on age-old psychological truth that a calm, focused mind is better at spotting and seizing financial opportunities than anxious, scattered mind overwhelmed by worry and stress. The legitimate psychological principle is simple. Mental state affects perceptions and action. Calm mind notices opportunities, anxious mind misses. Clear thinking enables better decisions than stressed thinking. Positive expectations sometimes create better outcomes than negative expectations through effects on behavior and perseverance. This doesn't mean thoughts magically attract wealth through mystical vibrations or cosmic forces, but it does mean that mindset matters. Believing you can build wealth affects your decisions and actions in ways that sometimes make wealth more likely. Visualizing success can improve motivation and performance. Positive expectations can increase persistence and resilience. The practical application is cultivating calm, focused mental state that supports wealth building, reducing financial stress through proper planning, maintaining positive but realistic outlook, focusing attention on opportunities rather than fixating on obstacles, making decisions from calm state rather than anxious reactivity, meditation, mindfulness, stress reduction, adequate sleep, healthy lifestyle, all support the calm, clear thinking that makes good financial decisions more likely, that helps you spot opportunities, that enables patience and discipline wealth building requires. The peaceful wealth approach incorporates this without mysticism. Recognize that mental state affects financial outcomes. Cultivate calm and clarity through practical methods. Make financial decisions from centered, thoughtful state rather than anxious reactivity. Trust that calm, patient approach often produces better results than stressed, frantic one. The manifestation happens through psychology and action rather than magic. Calm mind thinks more clearly. Clear thinking produces better decisions. Better decisions lead to better outcomes. Better outcomes build wealth over time. The mechanism is entirely natural, but the results are powerful. Calm mind is wealth-building asset as valuable as any financial knowledge or resources. At its core, wealth is simply stored time, the ability to choose how you spend your hours, because your assets are working for you in the background, providing income without requiring your constant active labor, freeing you to allocate time according to values rather than financial necessity. Without wealth, time is consumed by necessity. You must work to earn, must trade hours for dollars, must maintain constant labor to maintain income, must sacrifice time to financial demands whether you wish to or not. Time becomes commodity you sell. Freedom becomes luxury you can't afford. Choice becomes privilege wealth provides. With wealth, time becomes yours. You work if you choose, rather than because you must. You allocate hours according to preferences and values. You pursue activities that provide meaning rather than just money. You structure life around what matters to you, rather than around financial necessity. This is perhaps wealth's greatest gift. Not luxury consumption, not status or prestige, not material comfort, but time freedom. The ability to choose how you spend the finite hours of your life, to pursue what matters to you, to balance work and rest and relationships and personal development according to your values rather than others' demands. Building wealth is ultimately building time freedom, creating assets that generate income while you sleep, reducing dependence on active labor for survival, expanding choices about how to spend your irreplaceable time. Each dollar saved and invested represents tiny increment of time freedom, small increase in autonomy, modest expansion of choice. The peaceful path to wealth recognizes this, pursues wealth not for its own sake, but for the freedom it enables, builds assets patiently through years or decades of consistent accumulation, gradually expanding time freedom until reaching point where passive income covers expenses, where work becomes optional, where time is truly yours to allocate according to deep personal values. This is wealth's deepest purpose. Not enabling endless consumption, but enabling authentic living. Not providing luxury, but providing choice. Not allowing escape from life, but allowing engagement with life on your own terms, with time spent according to your values rather than others' demands, with freedom to pursue meaning rather than just money, with ability to live deliberately rather than desperately. Let these wealth facts settle gently into your awareness. Salary from Roman salt, tulip mania's lessons, ancient Greek savings jars, Roman rental property, the first stock exchange, compound interest's magic, Lydian Gold Lions, Babylon's richest man, London land appreciating since Rome, royalties supporting families for generations, dividend checks arriving like clockwork, Leonardo's codex worth millions, Ponzi's cautionary tale, gold's 5,000-year value, the first ATM enabling 24-hour access, intellectual property generating decades of income, the wealth of nations an invisible hand, index funds boring reliability, Rockefeller's balance of work and rest, REITs owning property without management, the Silk Road's passive trade network, cryptocurrency's ancient ledger principle, Vatican's knowledge wealth, manifestation's calm mind spotting opportunities, and wealth as stored time, as freedom crystallized, as choice enabled through assets working while you rest. This is the golden seed, the ancient wisdom of wealth, the patient principles that have built prosperity through centuries and continue building it today. Rest here in the knowledge that wealth isn't about frantic hustle or brilliant schemes, but about patient accumulation, consistent discipline, time's gentle multiplication, compound interest working its quiet magic while you sleep. Good night, in the peaceful understanding that wealth is simply stored time, that assets can work while you rest, that patient investing builds freedom gradually, that the path to prosperity is open to anyone willing to spend less than they earn. Invest the difference wisely and let time work its patient, powerful magic. Sleep well, knowing that your future wealth builds even while you dream, that compound interest never rests, that the seeds planted today grow steadily into tomorrow's freedom, that the journey to prosperity is marathon, not sprint, measured in decades, not days, traveled through patient steps, not frantic racing. The golden seed is planted through understanding, watered through consistency, grows through time's passage, eventually becoming shade tree under which you'll rest in financial security and freedom, enjoying fruits of patience and discipline, reaping harvest from seeds planted long ago, through wisdom that transcends generations and builds prosperity eternally.